Hi everyone, this is Lauren Egan and my Module 5 discussion. This week we've been looking at immune function, anti-infective pharmacology, and infectious diseases related to that. Specifically for this discussion, we are looking at antibiotic stewardship and antibiotic resistant bacteria. Um, this is something that should be extremely frightening to our populations, our communities, but also as healthcare workers. It's something that can be really scary because we come in contact with all of these germs and viruses and bacteria ourselves. Um, because of that, a lot of times we end up on medications ourselves because we're so prone, can be prone to being sick more often. And, if we're not careful, we'll also end up being on medications and antibiotics more often. According to the CDC, 23,000 people die per year just because they are resistant to antibiotics. That's a huge number for just the United States alone. We're seeing strains such as Staphylococcus, Pneumococcus, gonorrhea, and the list just goes on and on. The CDC website really gives a great layout from when antibiotics started in the 1930s to today, and you can see on one side of the list as the antibiotics were found and the different ones have come into healthcare, and the list on the left hand side is the antibiotic resistant bacteria that we're seeing. There's a huge number today as compared to what we were seeing, say, in the 1950s or so. Um, Antibiotic stewardship for healthcare workers is something that we've been working on some in my facility. I know that our practitioners try to do it a lot, but basically it's that we're supposed to be a voice for these antibiotic resistant bacteria, just to let people know that we are not going to put you on antibiotics for something that you don't need to be on antibiotics for. Um, I know in my particular facility, I work in an community emergency department, so people come to us for their sinus infections, the sniffles, the coughs, the flu symptoms. We get a huge number of those patients, and all of them think that we are supposed to give them an antibiotic to make them feel better. They don't want to hear that you're going to be sick for 3 to 5, 7 days, depending on what their symptoms or what their illness is. They don't want to hear that. They want a pill that's going to make them better, and they think that that's antibiotics, and they get very upset if we don't give them to them, give those antibiotics to them. So it is definitely up to us to attempt to educate our patients on that, but a lot of times they honestly just don't believe us. So I do think that more public education needs to come out about this. We see on the news the Ebola virus and all of the viruses, but there definitely needs to be more public education on why we may not give them antibiotics every single time they have the sniffles or a cough or something. Specifically for Ebola, there is currently no treatment. There is no medication for them. We just give supportive care for symptoms as they come along as best we can. I know that the ZMapp is an experimental drug that the CDC is looking at. However, there's no human trials that have been done. We have no idea how safe it is for humans, and very few animal trials have been done as well. So, if we were to have a major United States outbreak of Ebola today, there's little as far as medication that we can do for them other than the supportive care of their current symptoms. The ZMapp drug involves three different monoclonal antibodies that bind to the protein of the Ebola virus. So um, in pharmacology, in the chemistry, it sounds like it's something that should be safe and effective. It should only target the Ebola protein, but we're not really sure at this point. And so I know I've actually heard, it's interesting that we're talking about this question because I have actually heard people say that, can we get prophylactic antibiotics if we've been exposed to someone with Ebola? And it's important to explain to them that Ebola is a virus. It is not a bacteria that a antibiotic necessarily would be effective for. Um, so, again, the education for our populations is going to be key. It's something that we should definitely be talking about them with every visit. Make sure that we can get a good understanding with folks that, especially coming up on cold and flu season, that the flu and the common cold, that there is no cure for them. There are supportive measures. There are things that we can do to help you, but there is no specific cure, and especially not an antibiotic that we should be prescribing for them. So I know patient satisfaction is a huge key core measure for hospitals and doctors' offices right now. And if people don't think they're getting the medications that they should be getting, um, then your patient satisfaction rates will go down. So, um, uh, that's why I think that public education needs to happen more about this, and not necessarily just from the practitioner, because when people aren't feeling well and they think that they, should be getting this quick fix, or, they think that antibiotics is the right course of action for them, in that moment, they're probably not going to believe the practitioner that what they're telling them in that moment. I know from experience of what we see that generally patients are not very happy with us if we don't give them antibiotics when they want them. So, um, this is a very interesting subject, and something that I think that we'll be building on from here. Hopefully the CDC will be working even harder on this particular measure anyway. So I look forward to hearing everyone else's responses. Thank you.